Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day's going fantastic. Thanks so much for stopping by. Well, today we're creating a card and we're making an easel. This is going to be super fun. This is part of the Spellbinders Large Die of the Month Club Kit for August 2020. This is the 3D Still Life Easel and Canvas. So we're going to make a card, and I do want to put together the easel to show you how I put it together. And I think this is just the neatest thing. Oh my goodness. It will actually hold a standard A2 size card too. So if you wanted to showcase your cards in your craft room, this little die set will create it for you. And it creates a canvas too. So if you want to do a canvas for Monday through Sunday, you surely can. It's super neat. Okay, that being said, we are going to jump in. We are going to start off by die cutting out the easel portion with black cardstock. Now this piece here, you're going to want to die cut it out 4 times. And then this little corner bracket, you're want to die cut out twice. I'm going to use black cardstock for this. I think a craft cardstock would work great too. This little piece is for the back portion of the easel. You only need 1 of those. And then you have this piece. We're going to bring in a lighter weight. I'm using my Nina 80-pound cardstock to create my canvas. I think it's going to be easier to put together and die cut. So die cut out my canvas and then the easel pieces with black cardstock. Once everything is die cut, we're going to put it together, starting off with the canvas. Canvas, you don't need any extra pieces, which is super neat. There is scored detail all around this piece, and it's actually perforated. Whenever a die has perforation, it makes it so easy to score. Oh my goodness, you don't even need your bone folder, guys. But I'm just reinforcing each one of these score lines, just folding them, bending over, all tops and bottoms and lefts and rights. Now I want to fold it over at the very last score line, okay? And once I have it folded over towards the inside of this canvas box thingy, I'm going to add glue to that folded in score piece. If you want to use tape, you very well could, but it's a pretty thin area. I don't think white liner tape would work. Maybe get away with score tape, but glue for me, it takes a little longer to dry, but I think it's going to be just as good. So what I'm doing is basically rolling over the glued score line so it's hitting the inside of the frame, and then I'm folding it flat. You know, it's important if you do use glue that you don't want to put glue anywhere, or you don't want to use an over excessive amount. Otherwise you won't be able to puff up your canvas. Okay, you'll see here in a minute what I mean. But I'm laying it flat just so I could adhere the glue to the very bottom part of my canvas. While that dries, we're going to work on our easel. This also has perforated lines, perforated score lines. This little tab here has 2 score lines. I folded those in, and then I'm going to just reinforce these score lines. One side has a thinner edge than the other side, and you're going to want to put glue on the thinner side. But I'm just reinforcing all those score lines, and this is what it looks like. Super neat. Now I'm going to fold it over again, the thinner part. You can see the thicker end and the thinner end. I'm going to lay the thinner end flat on my craft desk and fold over the thicker end, so it's basically even from left to right. You'll see here what I mean in a minute. I'm going to open it up, fold over the skinnier side, fold over the thicker side to where we have it basically folded in half, and we're going to add glue to the thinner side here. Again, you just need a thin strip. My glue is well loved. I think I'm going to need another one. And then what I'm going to do is fold over the thicker end over the thinner end, and I'm securing it flat. This is where you don't want the excess to overhang, because or ooze out. If it does, it's going to get on the inside and you won't be able to open it up. Okay, let's try this again. We're just going to reinforce all 4 of our score lines here. Makes it super easy with the perforated edge. With that thinner side, I'm going to add a thin strip of glue. And I believe the middle score line is where you want to kind of fold it in half to where you could lay it flat when you secure the glue. So here's the thinner line. Grab our glue, put a thin little strip here, and just fold the top over. And the cardstock that I'm using is I'd say it's 110 pound weight, so it's pretty heavy duty. If you want to use a lighter weight, I think you can get away with it because of the stability of this die. But I'm going to use a acrylic block to weight it down while I create my other pieces. Now, this piece, we're going to do the exact same thing, reinforce the score lines, and then I'm going to take that thin edge, add glue to it, and then fold over the thicker edge, kind of attaching it. Basically what we're doing is creating a rectangle straw. Super easy to do. Looks like I put a lot of glue on there, but it really wasn't that much. Okay, I'm going to fold that down. We're going to put these two over here, and then now I'm going to puff it up and fold on the opposite score lines, and it's going to create the perfect little rectangle straw here. You can see here, there's your little rectangle straw. Now if the glue oozed out, you wouldn't be able to open it like this and see through it. This other end has a diagonal edge, and then it also, I'm trying to show you with the camera that rectangle straw is basically what it is. Here's your scored flap. You're going to fold over that top flap, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue on the inside of this piece and then secure that top flap on the inside. What we're doing basically is closing up the straw. So now our straw is completely closed, except for the bottom edge. But we're going to do that to all three of these. Very easy to do. Once you get the hang of one of them, you know how to do the rest of them. But holding them flat is just easier because it secures the glue. If you already use tape, I don't think you need to hold it, push it flat. But I'm just flip-flopping the score lines, creating my little rectangle straw. I'm going to reinforce these score lines and close up those straws. So I did that to all three of them here. You can see, you can't see through them no more. Okay, now these two, we are going to add a little glue to the area that we closed the straw up with. And then we're going to take our corner bracket. We're going to flip it around and generously add glue to this. And then we're going to secure this at the very top. There's a little V notch in the bottom of your corner bracket, so you want to line that up. It makes your it aligns it for you, basically, your two little pieces. I'm going to weight that down so that dries a little bit. Now this piece, when you die cut this out, there is little score notches in here. With this piece, I'm going to get a white pencil and show you where the notches are here. There's a notch there, and then there's also a notch over here. Okay, I'm going to take this to my paper trimmer and trim off the left and right side. This is going to be the bottom of our easel, and we don't need those extra pieces, so you're going to trim at the score lines. It's just going to basically create a you're still going to create a straw, but you're not going to have those fancy edges or ends. Okay, reinforce those score lines, and again we're going to take the smaller edge, add glue to it, and then we're going to close it up, adding the largest edge right over the top, and it's going to line up to the edge, creating that straw. Weight that down, and then this one looks like it's pretty secure. I'm going to flip it around, and we're going to do the exact same thing, but this time instead of putting it on our little corner bracket, I'm going to put glue directly to our easel. Add some glue and then secure the corner bracket, just lining up that V in the middle, and it'll help align your easel. It's pretty easy peasy, really. Okay, this is ready to go. I'm going to switch fold lines to create my little rectangle straw, and you can see through it there, and we are good to go. That's going to be the bottom where we're going to add it's going to hold our canvas. This little piece we're going to fold in half, okay, and then we're going to take the left and the right and fold those over, kind of creating like a bat shape or a hat shape. So that's ready to go. Okay, so the base of our easel is pretty much done, and next this piece is gonna be the piece that helps make your easel stand. I thought maybe we better add the bottom of our easel piece first and then add that little tab. So I'm using the grid lines on my mat kind of as a guide. I'm basically putting that bottom piece at a 1 inch mark on my easel. I'm going to add a little dot of glue to this tab, and then we're going to secure this to where the point of this is facing up, guys. We're going to line it up. Once it's lined up, I want to show you this too. This is pretty much dry, but to create your canvas, oh my gosh, so easy. Since it's dry, all you have to do is push up those score lines and it creates a little box. It creates a rectangle straw around the entire edge of this panel. It is so neat. Love that. It was so easy to do. And it's one piece. You don't have to fuss with little itty bitty pieces. Okay, let's finish off our easel here. I'm going to line this up. I think the 1 inch mark is perfect. I'm going to add little dots of glue to the left and to the right here. And then we have to flip over the bottom of our easel to where this tab is on the inside, because this is basically the front of our easel. We're basically creating an A. Okay, I think it's pretty much secure. So after we have this, we're going to flip it around, and then we're going to I guess I should have measured if my canvas was going to fit on there or not, and it fits perfectly. So I think the 1 inch mark is a good measurement. Okay, this piece we're going to flip over our easel. Next we're going to add some glue to the very top of our straw that we closed in. Attach this to the point of our easel on top here. And then I'm going to add a dot of glue on that little piece that we glued to the front of our easel. On the very end, just a little dot of glue here. And then this little piece is going to be secured to our the back of our easel. This way it's going to sit on the desk beautifully. We'll just let that dry. I want to make sure. Now, I did something wrong because my easel was facing looked like it was ready to tumble over. If you put anything on your easel, it would have just fell over. Oh my goodness, fell over. Okay, and I know what I did wrong. Okay, this is I'm gonna trim off this little piece here. Now I'm gonna show you in a little bit after I get this all put together. The die actually has another line to where you would cut. So when you die cut out this piece with that one large die, you're actually going to follow the score line and trim it out to create the back piece. This piece needs to be a little bit shorter for your easel to stand properly, which I didn't do that. Just kind of learning as I go. We're going to secure that bottom piece in there, and then this should fit beautifully, and it should stand kind of at an angle, you can see here. But I think it worked out good. It was easy to fix, guys, but if you were to trim it before, you would probably have a little bit more of a better angle. But that is so cute. Isn't it cute? And then you can put your little canvas on there. Perfectly fits. You could make one for every day of the week. I just think this is so cute. When I first saw this, I thought, oh my gosh, I can make, for work, I can make specials. We have daily specials. I can put this on the desk. But I think it'd probably be a little too small, but I just think this is so cute. And then I was wondering, maybe it would hold a card. You could showcase one of your handmade cards with this. The card that I had was a side folding. I'm going to grab a top folding card, and you know what? It fits, it will hold it, guys. And it doesn't look too bad. It's super neat. So this month's Large Die of the Month Club Kit is pretty snazzy. Because there's so much you could do with it. I just love this. Okay, now that little piece I wanted to show you on the die set. Remember I told you to cut out 4 of these large dies? Well, one of them, there's a score line that lines up with the bottom edge. That's where you would want to trim to create that back piece. Okay, so one of them you're going to trim, block it off. One of them you're going to trim at that one score line, so it's a little bit shorter, and then 2 of them are just going to be regular. Now, you know I always like to do things different. Okay, so for today's project, we're going to make a card, but I wanted to use the inside of my canvas. Instead of using the front side, we're going to use the back side. So I have some cardstock. My color palette today, we are going to be using, the red is Rich Coral, the orange is Citrus Cooler, the pink is Bubblegum, and the yellow is Summer Days. These are all cardstocks from Fun Stamper's Journey, and I thought I'd make a fun summery card. Now there is some flowers in the flower pot, and then there's a little tablecloth in this set that you can use to create the scene behind your die set here, but we're gonna kind of think outside. I'm gonna share just a different project. This is your paintbrush set. I'm gonna die cut out the brush part with white cardstock, and then I'm gonna accent my paintbrushes with a little bit of silver cardstock. So I'm gonna die cut out my paintbrushes with silver, and then also with the medium gray, I'm using my Riverstone cardstock for my the base of my paintbrush. Okay, so everything is die cut out. You can see I even did the little paint swishes. This is what I die cut out with the colored cardstock. Now I die cut out the paint tubes when you is one die, so it gives you the detail piece, and then it also gives you the tube. So when you die cut it out with white cardstock, you get that extra piece. Well, instead of tossing that, I thought we would put it to good use and add a little bit of dimension to our little paint tubes. So I'm going to take the colored piece, add glue behind it, and I'm going to lay that right on top of the white one. And then I'll flip this over, add a little bit of glue behind here, and add this to my white paint tube. And then this way we have a little bit of depth and a dimension. So cute. I thought we'd go one step further, and then I'm going to take the colored tube, and I'm actually going to offset it on the white one just for a little shadow. And I love the way this turned out. So cute. We're going to go ahead and continue with our pink. So I'm going to add a little glue to the top of the white one, add the pink detail piece. We'll flip that over, add a little glue behind here, and it does add a lot of dimension, believe it or not, just that one extra piece. Glue that to our white tube, and then we're going to glue our white tube, offsetting it on the pink tube. And that is our little paint tube. So I'm going to do that with all of them so they're ready to go. Okay, after we have this done, I did take a piece of my tin pail cardstock, and I fit it so it would fit on the inside of my canvas. Of course, this is the front here. Okay, when you flip it over, this is the back of your canvas. I'm going to use the back because I think I'm going to kind of create like a little window box for my card. So I'm going to put a background in here that's a little bit darker than the white. Tin pail is a real soft gray, and so I just measured it and then trimmed it down so we can just adhere it right on the inside. Now we're going to decorate our tin pail piece here with our little paint tubes. I am going to add some dimension by adding foam adhesive behind each one of these tubes. First we're going to add the Rich Coral, next we're going to add the Citrus Cooler, and then next we're going to add the Summer Days, and then last but not least, we're going to kind of position this so they're all a little bit different. It's artwork after all, right? We're going to add our bubble gum here. And I think that's going to work out good. Now we're going to add our little paint swirls. Just add a little bit of glue, and we're going to put this the end so it's just above the cap of our paint tube. I'm going to overhang this off the edge, and no worries because we're going to trim that off. Next we'll add our orange one. Add a little bit of glue. This one I'm going to flip it around so it's not the same shape as the red. I'm going to flip it around, kind of line it up to the tube top. Secure that. Lovely. And then we're going to grab our yellow, do the same thing, and then we'll eventually add the pink. Kind of creating our own little art piece here, or a window box. I always liked window boxes, and I think this would make a perfect one. Now, when you do die cut this out, your canvas, your corners don't seal together. You can glue them if you wanted, but pretty much they're staying intact, so I just left them like that. Okay, after all my little paint trails are added, we're going to take the scissors and trim off the red here. I'm going to flip this around and we're going to add some glue. Actually, you know, let's add glue directly to the inside of our window box. We'll add a little artwork. And I think this is so fun. We have a little box of paint. Oh my goodness. Okay, next I have 4 pieces of the same colored cardstock that we use for our paint tubes. These actually measure 1 1/4 inches tall by 3 3/4 inches wide. It's going to create a panel on my card base. Before we adhere those, though, we're going to use our paintbrushes. Again, I used the Riverstone for my paintbrush base, and then I die cut out those same paintbrushes with silver cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors. I got this idea from the back, so your inspirational sheet on the back, they did this to their little paintbrushes, and I thought the detail, it takes a little extra time, but it just makes those paintbrushes pop. I'm going to trim off the bottom of my paintbrush, the silver one, add a little glue to the top of my gray one, and then we're going to take that silver piece and just replace it on the top. Now, for all of these, there is scored detail on your paintbrushes, so you know exactly where to trim off. I just add that silver detail. We're going to flip it over, and then we're going to add our white paintbrush. Right, if you wanted to sandwich it in between, I think you could, but behind, I think it's going to work out just fine. But there's paintbrush 1. How fun! Just that little added silver, I think, makes a big difference. So we're just going to trim off the silver tops here, add them to our gray paintbrushes. We'll just flip them around, and then add the correct brush behind it. So we have 3 different types of brushes all ready to go. Okay, now I thought we'd go one step further, and I'm going to take some of my Copic markers. I found some colors that coordinated with my cardstock. For this paintbrush, I'm using my yellow. I'm using Y35, and I'm adding a little bit of paint to the tip of the brushes. I'm not going to cover the entire paintbrush. I'm just adding it to the very edge, like you just kind of dipped your paint in the paintbrush in your paint. The pink, I am using R83, and then the orange, I'm using YR04. And those colors work perfectly with my colored cardstock here. So they're ready to go. Next, we're going to take our card base, which is a top folding card base. We're going to first add our bubblegum cardstock. We're going to directly adhere this to the front of our card base. Next, we'll add our summer days here. And I'll list all the cardstock that I use downstairs. I think it's great cardstock, and I love the colors. Add our orange, which is citrus cooler, and then last but not least, we're going to add our rich coral. It's like a orangey reddish color, so it creates a perfect panel. Now we're kind of going to position where we want our window frame here, and I think there's going to be perfect. And then we're going to grab a stamp set. Now this stamp set actually is an add-on this month at Spellbinder Shop. There are coordinating dies with it, but this is the Craft Happy stamp set. There is one that's there's a clear one, and I believe there's a Fun Stamper's Journey red rubber. So you get your guys' choice for the stamps, but it's called Craft Happy, and it goes perfect with your crafty goodness. Even with your glimmer kit this month, it coordinates beautifully, and I'll link this down below too. I just marked where I wanted my window frame to go, and then I'm bringing in my Misty. We're going to line up the sentiment here on the bottom. I wanted to put it on the rich coral ink, or on the rich coral cardstock, because I knew the white would stand out. But I'm stamping the sentiment that says, crafting comes before housework in the dictionary, as it should. I think that's so cute. I'm going to go ahead and add white embossing powder. I stamped it with my Versamark ink. And then I'll just tap off the excess, and we'll use the heat gun, and we're going to go ahead and melt this. And it's going to stand out really nicely against that red cardstock. You want to be careful though, because sometimes when you add adhesive behind your cardstock and heat it with your heat gun, it has a tendency to want to lift up. So you just want to be careful. Once it's dry, I'm going to kind of go over with my hand, kind of getting rid of all that anti-static powder tool. And I'm going to use my eraser to erase my pencil mark. And then we'll go ahead and add glue behind our technically it's our canvas piece, but we are going to flip it around and make a window box with it. And you can see the corners aren't attaching, but it's not that bad. It's not noticeable to fix. Just making sure it's centered. Next we have our little paintbrushes, and I thought we would add 2 to the bottom right corner of our window box. Just kind of putting one here, and actually, you know what? This is actually going to secure the corners together too. So that's a nice little tip. We're going to crisscross these 2. And then we're going to put one across the top left here. And it's going to help secure that corner too. And I think the gray kind of really makes it pop. Okay, now last but not least, I'm going to bring in some iridescent glitter. This is White Blizzard, and it's going to dry iridescent, kind of a clear iridescent. We're going to dot the center of our paint tubes, and then I thought, you know what, let's go over the paint on our paintbrushes. And while we're at it, let's add some sparkle to our paint. So I'm going to go ahead and go over our little paint swirls with the glitter as well. But then that finishes off my card today, guys. So I think it's a super cute idea. And you know what? It does even fit on your easel, which I'm super tickled about. So you can build your own in every color if you wanted. But you can see here it holds up to your cards beautifully. And I'll lay it flat so you can kind of see the size. It doesn't look too bad if you wanted to showcase your card, huh? But super fun kit this month. I hope this gives you some inspiration or ideas on how to use this kit. But I had so much fun playing with it. Links are down below if you guys are interested. Have a lovely day. Thanks so much for stopping by. We'll see you soon.